Thanks for tuning in to 5 While You Drive, an American Daily Press podcast. I'm your host, Chris. It's August 23rd, 2024. The fall equinox is September 22nd, 2024, and that's when the sun is exactly above the equator and day and night are of equal length. The days have already been getting shorter since the summer solstice on June 20th, and that will continue until we get to the winter solstice on December 21st, right around Christmas. And then, like John the Baptist says, he must increase and I must decrease. Okay, but why am I bringing this up? Well, because by all official counts, it is August 23rd, and definitely not fall. But that hasn't stopped the seasonal rollout of the Pumpkin Spiced Latte, a drink made with fall, there's that word again, spice flavors like cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove. And then all of that's added to a heaping helping of steamed milk and espresso, and, as Wikipedia says unironically, quote, often sugar. Yesterday, one particular corporate coffee company celebrated something called PSL Day, the first day of the year you can buy the drink popularized some 20 years ago. And if you're thinking to yourself that it seems a little early for pumpkin spice, you're not wrong. This is actually the earliest that the drink has been unleashed upon the masses, with August 24th being the so-called PSL Day in 2023 and 2021. But I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. And if you're drinking pumpkin spice lattes, you probably couldn't sleep even if you wanted to. Speaking of staying up late, the DNC wrapped last night, where VP Kamala Harris gave a formal acceptance speech for the Democratic nomination for the presidency. This, of course, came after a smattering of other speeches. On Wednesday, noted independent voter Oprah Winfrey made a surprise speech, as did musician Stevie Wonder. Other notable speakers on Wednesday were the president of Planned Parenthood, Alexis McGill Johnson, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and former President Bill Clinton. Last night on Thursday, attendees got to hear from another all-star cast, including Senators Elizabeth Warren and Mark Kelly, as well as Governors Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan and Roy Cooper of North Carolina. Now that the convention is over, preparations have begun for the first televised debate between VP Harris and former President Donald Trump on September 10th, a mere 8 days before Trump is due to be sentenced in New York after his conviction for allegedly falsifying business records. That debate will be hosted by ABC News and will be held in Philadelphia. There are currently no other debates scheduled before Election Day on Tuesday, November 5th. But you might not have to wait until then to cast your ballot, as many states do offer early voting, some as soon as September 20th. So be sure to check with your local Secretary of State to find out when or if your state offers early voting. The trains are not running on time. And in Canada, they're not running at all. The Canadian National Railway and Canadian Pacific Kansas City announced yesterday that after labor talks fell through, they would be initiating a lockout of their workers, effectively shutting down their rail networks. The Teamsters Canada Rail Conference Union had been in talks for months, seeking better scheduling and safety conditions for workers. Teamsters President Paul Boucher posted to X, accusing the rail companies of, quote, holding the Canadian economy hostage. The rail companies in response essentially played an Uno reverse card, accusing the Teamsters of the same thing. Rail transport in Canada carries almost $1 billion with a B dollars worth of goods each day, or $730 million US dollars. U.S.-based Union Pacific Railroad chimed in to say that this stoppage would prevent as many as 2,500 rail cars from crossing the border on a daily basis. Rail transport accounted for bilateral trade between Canada and the United States of nearly $400 billion in the first half of the year. And the savings will be passed on to you, the consumer. The shutdown is set to grind shipments of grain, potash, timber, and coal to a halt, while also majorly disrupting shipments of petrol-related products and automobiles. And it's not just businesses that will feel the pain. Commuter trains will also be shut down. There's no word on how long this stoppage could last, though Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that the Canadian government will be making an announcement soon about how they plan to tackle this issue. Oh, Canada. Ladies, have you ever wondered what it is guys talk about behind closed doors when they're just with their bros? Gentlemen, are you tired of all the feminized chick shows where the dudes are censoring themselves because ladies are present and they don't want to get canceled? If yes, check out the new show from American Daily Press called Guys Night. It's just 3 dudes talking about dude stuff. No script, no planning, no professionalism. Just the kind of conversation you'd find at the pub after a long day's work, or in the barracks day room after duty hours. So feel free to drop in, subscribe, like, and leave comments to join the conversation. Dave and Rob like to read the best ones and answer questions in the next show. Phil likes to read the worst ones because they make him laugh. So tune in, grab an ice-cold beverage of your choice, and hang out with the guys tonight. Israel-Hamas ceasefire talks continue, and there might be some good news on the horizon. The U.S. envoy to the United Nations has said that a hostage release deal, quote, now is in sight. A proposal put forward by the United States, Qatar, and Egypt, dubbed a bridging proposal, has reportedly been accepted by Israel, according to a post on X by U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield. Quote, we now have a path forward to save lives, she said. Israel has accepted the bridging proposal. Now, Hamas must do the same, end quote. The White House said they hope any remaining obstacles to a deal can be discussed at the upcoming talks in Cairo. And while U.S. officials remain optimistic, Hamas has said that this latest proposal is merely an attempt by the U.S. to buy time, quote, for Israel to continue its genocide, and that it skews heavily towards Israel's favor. Hamas has urged a return to the earlier ceasefire proposal put forth by U.S. President Joe Biden, as it involved the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Palestinian territory. Israel rejected that proposal, as they, quote, want to reserve the right to continue operations in Gaza. Experts say that the prospects of a complete ceasefire are dim. John Alterman, director of the Middle East program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, says, quote, every public indication that the principals are giving is that we're not close. Finally, college football is back, or at least it will be tomorrow. While most Division I programs start next weekend, there will be a whopping 7 games tomorrow on Saturday, August 24th, for what is affectionately known as Week 0, the first of which is the Aer Lingus College Football Classic in Ireland. That's right, the Emerald Isle will be hosting the number 10 Florida State Seminoles and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, because those are the teams you immediately think of when you think of Ireland. The FCS kickoff in Montgomery, Alabama, will have North Alabama facing off against Southeast Missouri State. The MEAC SWAC Challenge will have Norfolk State playing against Florida A&M in Atlanta, Georgia. We also have McNeese at Tarleton State, Montana State at New Mexico, SMU at Nevada, and finally Delaware State at Hawaii. There are plenty of changes to the major conferences this year. The ACC now has 17 schools with the new additions of Cal, SMU, and Stanford. The Big Ten is now 18 schools with the additions of Oregon, USC, UCLA, and Washington. The Big 12 is now 16 schools upon adding Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, but also losing Oklahoma and Texas. The Pac-12 is all but gone, with only Oregon State and Washington State remaining. And the SEC has grown to 16 teams after grabbing Oklahoma and Texas from the Big 12, or 18, or whatever. Conference USA now has 10 schools after adding Kennesaw State, and all the other major conferences appear to be remaining the same. College football might look a little different this year, but much like the Pumpkin Spiced Latte, it can't come soon enough. Thanks for tuning in to 5 While You Drive. If you like what you hear, give us a follow on X or visit AmericanDailyPress.com. You can also provide feedback on the show, making it into the mailbag. Just send an email to 5drive, that's the number 5, drive, at AmericanDailyPress.com.